I used to wonder what it would feel like if I had you here in my life. The girl of my dreams, homecoming queen. All the other chicks wanted to be like, never got a chance to show ya. All the dudes wanted to know ya. So I played my position and I kept my distance. One day you'll listen to my song. Now here we are together. Everything is so much better. And I can't imagine being here without you. When I'm around you, it feels so good. It feels the way that I thought it would. When I'm around you, I don't wanna leave. You're all that I want, everything that I need. I can't hold this feeling inside. When I'm with you, I feel so alive. The joy that I feel only you can give. Always hope this is what it would be like. It's a blessing just to know ya. Ooh, girl, let me show ya all the love you've been missing. Plenty hugging and kissing every day. Yes, my mission is for ya. Now here we are together. Everything is so much better. And I can't imagine being in here without you. When I'm around you, it feels so good. It feels the way that I thought it would. When I'm around you, I don't wanna leave. You're all that I want, everything that I need. Yeah.
You're listening to Elevations Radio, your station for uplifting lifestyle and wellness talk radio.
Views expressed on shows are those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of the station, its management, or other advertisers. Use of these shows and all services provided therein are for personal use only. The Elevations Radio Network holds no responsibility for the validity or accuracy of information on these shows.
Hey, and welcome to the Queen's Journey. Here I am your host, Sade Carlissa, the sexy magician and spiritual alchemist, the owner of Victory by Choice, and the creator of the Journey to Queendom Women's Empowerment Conference. Welcome. You're listening to us here live on elevationsradio.com, and thanks for tuning in on Facebook. And if you're catching the replay, thanks for listening. Today, we have a special topic of the day. And, I had to come in my pajamas for those who are watching because I had to get comfortable in this one because I think I've lived in this long enough enough where I had to kind of sit in it. I couldn't be too polished for y'all. I had to relax a little bit because the conversation of the day is, am I the toxic one in the relationship? And this was something that I wanted to talk about because, of course, here, you guys, on the show, we talk a lot about spiritual growth and emotional growth and what we deal with in relationships and self-care and love and just all kinds of things. We try to cover all types of things: friendships, community building, how to motivate yourself, how to connect with other people, how to get to know you better. We talk about astrology and the cosmos and spiritual connections and soul connections and blah, blah, blah. We do all of that here. But today I want to talk about something that we often talk about when it comes to relationships and relationships that have to end, how we interact with exes, how we interact with people that we have known for so long and then come to this place where we're like, this just isn't working for me. And I feel like the term toxic is like one of those new buzzwords like authentic. Go figure. You get what I'm saying? So when people talk about being authentic and genuine and all that kind of stuff, or even being conscious or woke, these are buzzwords. These are popular terms that are used nowadays. And toxic is one of those words that are thrown out there along with narcissist and sociopath. I don't know how much y'all say sociopath, but I know a few. So it is what it is. But when it comes to actually being someone who is in a toxic relationship, one must also understand what roles they play as a toxic individual. So this doesn't mean that you are toxic all the time, but I'm gonna be honest with you. If you get into a toxic lake pool situation, you come out and you have toxicity on you as well. So either you're a part of the situation, you're coming out of the situation. Like I like to tell people at this point in this stage of the game, am I the toxic one in a relationship? There was a point in time where I most definitely was toxic in my relationship. I mean, it didn't come to the place in which it ended for no reason. And also because I wasn't aware of my own issues. I wasn't aware of my own challenges. I wasn't aware of my own triggers. These were real things that I had to actually go through experiencing and learning about myself before I could actually evaluate and examine who's doing what and who's toxic and who's not. Let's be clear. Just like a codependent relationship, it's both parties that have to be some point of kind of making this happen. You have to actually do this together. So when it comes to codependency, there isn't just one codependent party. Both people are codependent in different ways, and they have to actually figure out, how it got to be that way, or why am I dependent on this individual, or how we're kind of playing on each other and enabling each other's behaviors. When it comes to a toxic relationship, there has to become a point in that relationship where you recognize, okay, this is not good for me and this is causing me to feel this way or do these things. But the longer you stay in a situation that you have become aware is not healthy for you, you become a part of the toxicity. That's just my views. And feel free to disagree, but by all means, I feel like if you continue to stay in a toxic situation, it rubs off. It's just like, I'm sorry. It just is what it is. If you get into a dirty pool, you still in dirty water. It doesn't make just the pool dirty. You in that. So you got to think about the fact that if you're dealing with a toxic situation, you have to identify what is toxic about me, or what am I not evaluating about this situation and this circumstance that makes a difference in this relationship. So I said I was going to talk about 10 characteristics that we can identify that actually can be seen as toxic or create toxic situations in relationships. And it's not going to be a hierarchy of, this is the worst toxic situation. There is no worse toxic situation. If you're in a toxic situation and it hurts and it's emotionally disabling and it hurts you mentally, emotionally, physically, anything like that, if you are in a situation that is causing you harm, spiritual, mentally, if it's taken away from your peace of mind, if it's starting to make you depressed, if you're starting to think less of yourself, if you're starting to lose confidence, if you're no longer connecting to the people that you used to connect with, if you no longer find joy in the things that you used to find joy in, if you're in that space, it doesn't matter which thing is causing it. Toxic is toxic. You can choose your poison. We're just going to talk about some of the characteristics that may show up in us as individuals and certain things that you may recognize in somebody else when it comes to a toxic situation. So the first one that I had, and there's going to be a couple of them. I'm probably going to bounce around because there's some things overlap, I will say. You have some people that do all these things. Okay. So, the first thing that I would have, and this is something that I would tell my people who are getting in new relationships or it's an early relationship, a new development, and that's recognizing the extra baggage. When I say extra baggage, coming from a person who is divorced, I consider myself divorced and detoxing. I'm detoxing from my toxic situation because those things still come with me. So that means the issues that hurt me, the issues that made me extra angry or critical or triggered, or the things that made me want to be defensive, I probably still carry some of that residual from my last relationship. You know what I'm saying? So that means that if I get into a new relationship and I'm already on the defense with a new person about certain behaviors, what they say, how they actually respond to me, what they're attracted to, what they're not attracted to, that could come from past relationships. So that means that if I'm carrying on the extra baggage, or if I'm still holding on to my ex, or if I'm still holding on to the complexities of that situation, or if I haven't healed my wounds from my past relationship, I am going to bring some of the toxicity from my last relationship into this new one. And it's because I haven't really taken the appropriate time to heal and actually cleanse and detox myself to be in a good place, a peace of mind, to be fresh, to be open-minded, to be open to love, to be open to situations, and clearly understanding what it is to be connected to someone in a healthy way. Sometimes we don't realize that when we're in toxic relationships, we become, as dysfunctional relationships, they're the same thing. We become used to the dysfunction. The dysfunction becomes such a habit that all we can do is keep on perpetuating that cycle. It's like, oh, well, this is what I'm used to. So you actually get comfortable in dysfunction and toxic situations. So you almost start excusing yourself from your past situation and not recognizing what you're doing in your current situation. So you may always blame that person. Not blame them, but you may always, or you might, if you were someone who was cheated on, this is just an easy example to use. But if you were someone that was cheated on and now all of a sudden you keep on asking him like, well, who on your phone? Well, where were you at? You just started this new relationship and you get upset if you haven't heard from them in a certain amount of time. That's not normal. I don't care how much you like somebody. Everybody, especially if you're an adult, everybody as adults need free space, free room to grow. Like, they need to be able to grow. You want to be with an adult who has different hobbies, things to do, people to see, because the diversification of that person's personality is better for you. It helps you to have more interest and things to look at. And even for yourself, you shouldn't have a situation where this new person that you have found as a new love interest is the only interest you have outside of maybe your family and going to work every day. Find something to do for yourself to bring interest, because you could bring that extra baggage from the last relationship into this relationship. It also may cause you to be a little bit more clingy because you're used to having someone there. So no matter how they show up, you want them present, and you may not think about taking the time to actually get to know that person. You may not even get to know what's good, what's bad about them, because now that you've gotten to the point where you like them, that's all that matters. Don't come into new things with baggage from your old stuff. So that's number 10. Okay, so we're gonna go to the next one, which is along the same lines: obsessive behavior. And now this can happen for men and women, but I know with women, and I'm a hopeless romantic, so I try not to do this. But if you like somebody that is all you think about, that's all you do, that's all you talk about, now you want to text them all the time, and you want to call them, and you want to see what they're doing, and every free breath of moment you want to be with them, and you want to see how soon can you see them. That can be toxic. So you may think of it as being loving, overly affectionate. Oh, I'm crazy about him. He's my world. Like, that's great. No, that's not healthy. That's not a healthy balance of caring about somebody. That's not a healthy balance of caring about you. If in every free moment you have, you're thinking about getting with this person, what are you doing for you? How are you taking care of you? When are you taking time for yourself? When are you making sure you're taking care of your mental health? When are you taking time to cultivate the other relationships in your life? This should not be, especially if it's new, should not be the only relationship you have. So that means you should have friends, people to call, things to do. If you have this obsession could be very nice as far as feeling warm towards someone, but it shouldn't be a thing where you can't function without thinking about that person or without wanting to be next to them. It's uncomfortable for somebody in your life. And then that can also lead to a space where they'd feel like they can't even be themselves around you because you're so over the top when it comes to loving on them or wanting to be close to them. Everybody wants a breathing room. We have to have boundaries from the beginning, and respecting someone's boundaries is a part of loving someone as well. So again, that could be seen as a toxic behavior. It's also a way of course, it's also a form of codependency, and it could show a lot of possessiveness. So in relationships, if you want to have a healthy relationship, your partner does not become your property. Your partner does not become ownership. You did not acquire a new child. You cannot file this person on your taxes. The thing is that this is your partner. So this should be someone you want to engage with and do new things with and talk to and exchange in emotional conversation and have new experiences with. This is not someone you're like, well, where are you going? What are you doing? Were you walking the dog? It took 5 minutes to walk the dog. You were here in 7. Like, that's crazy. That's not cool. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you may have come from a situation, again, the extra baggage, where the person you were with was checking for you in that way. So you thought that was normal. I'm sorry. You could be toxic. The third, or I'm starting from 10 coming down, is 8th one is lies and deceit. So we know that people lie, and let's not be unrealistic here. We all lie. I don't care what nobody says. You didn't lie before. Somebody didn't lie to you. It is what it is. We lie to protect ourselves. We lie to protect other people. All kinds of stuff. Everybody lies. But if you're in a relationship where there's a common theme of you being lied to, or someone is being deceitful, or someone is actually omitting information that would be detrimental to the relationship, or that actually makes them appear like they're not as invested in the relationship as you are, that could be a problem. While it is okay to be understanding with a person every once in a while because, okay, oh yeah, he lied about that. I get it. You know, he didn't want me to do X, Y, and Z. But when this becomes a habit and it's hard for you to determine whether this person is telling the truth or always telling you a different version of alternative facts, that's a problem. And it's toxic because that shows a lack of respect for someone's intelligence. Now, that's me. This is, look, Leo sun, Taurus, moon, Libra rising. You lie to me, and I'm thinking you looking at me like, boo the fool. We got a problem. So when it's insulting someone's intelligence, it's disrespecting the trust, it's dishonoring whatever kind of commitment that you guys have to one another, and it shows a lack of integrity as a person. When someone continues to lie to you about random things, events, people, all that kind of stuff, just for God knows what reason, that shows that, one, the person can't be trusted, and they don't value the relationship enough to actually establish a firm level and foundation within trust. Honesty goes a long way, and communication is needed in every relationship. If you're communicating with a person that you can never determine whether they're telling you fact or fiction, that can't be comfortable. And then it also causes you to be insecure in a space that you should be emotionally secure in. If you feel like every time you get with this person, you got to figure out what version of the truth that they're telling you, That's not a healthy situation. And if you start being that person, so a lot of times we can get in a relationship, and I'm only speaking for women at this very moment in time, but as a woman, you could tell a man whatever you want them to know, to hear, or to whatever you want to tell them, to actually make them believe that you're the ideal person for them. Women do this a lot. And it might not always be lies, but it could be a facade that they give off to make sure that that man sees that woman as the ideal partner, wife material, whatever the case. So women will put on this facade of being everything that person desires, and all those things might not actually be true. Some things might be deceitful. Some things that people might hide because they don't want you to know what flaws that they have or what vices that they're carrying, because that might change how you feel about them. Here's the problem with that. The person deserves to know who you really are, for one. Two, you can't keep up that facade for long. And three, the relationship is still going to be bound to end, because that means you obtain that person on a falsehood, a lie, or a deceit. And most relationships like that end in truth. That means everything comes out. So that could build a toxic relationship because there's no trust. So when there's no trust, you got someone who is always on the defensive because they don't know what's real and what's not. So the other thing that I had was, it's what I like to call bubble popping. So it's like, let me bring you down a peg. This is also known as the one-upping, but this is actually the other side of one-upping. This is when a person tries to, this is emotional manipulation, is when a person tries to manipulate you in such a way that they make sure that whatever vice or shortcoming that they can identify within you, they make sure they remind you of that to bring you down a peg. Okay, so this could be in the mix of an argument. This could be in the mix of trying to establish who they are in their own authority as far as their intelligence, their confidence, their power. This could be done to you in such a way that they'll be like, oh, but you know, you always messing up on money like that, though. You know, you can't handle your finances. Oh, didn't you just get out of debt? These are things in a relationship that if a person continues to do to you whenever they can to bring you down a peg, one, it shows that that person is very insecure. And if this person is you, you are insecure. I don't care what the situation is. You might not want to address it that way. But anytime you have to actually bring someone down a notch to make you feel comfortable within the conversation or the context of somebody that you're dealing with, it's because you don't actually feel like you match that person in that space. So when someone does this, one, it's a very vicious thing to do to a person, because that means when you have a relationship, this is an intimate space. That means you're talking to someone that you already trust. You know that this person knows sensitive information about you. You're very vulnerable. So when you hit me in a low blow, you know what I'm saying, in a vulnerable place, that is a way of me seeing that not only do you not actually care about my feelings, my well-being, and my trust and my vulnerability within this space, but now you're willing to hurt me intentionally to make yourself feel superior, confident, or leveled. Anytime you're in a relationship and your counterpart has to bring you down to level you out, that is a toxic situation. Anytime you have to do that to your partner, that is a toxic behavior to have. If you feel like you need to insult someone's intelligence, or I would not say that's an intelligence thing, when you have to insult someone's pride by bringing them down a notch to actually level out the playing field in a conversation, in an argument, or anything like that, yeah, you could be toxic. Toxic as what? Toxic AF. Do you understand? Because that is a very vicious thing to do when you know that this person has the vulnerability with you to share all this information with you and be sensitive enough to share their weaknesses and vices with you. The other thing is gaslighting. So this is another buzzword that's used in the spiritual community and conscious community and psychological community, gaslighting. So I'm like, what does that mean? And I'm going to tell it to you how I understand gaslighting to be. It's like someone that actually hits a trigger that they know that's going to bother you, like a nerve. They could say something about it, build upon it, actually cause you to be angry and provoke a response, and then act like, well, why are you mad? What's wrong with you? Why you tripping? Ain't nobody even said nothing. Oh my God. I'm telling you, this is why I don't carry CCW, because there'll be body bags behind this. Do not hit a trigger and then act like somebody is not supposed to respond and you know exactly what you're doing. So I'm thinking of an example is like, so for anybody who's seen Acrimony, I can use that because it's a movie, it ain't real. So anybody who's seen, is that Acrimony? Okay, so if anybody's seen Acrimony, it would be like, if the chick in the courtroom, I don't care if you ain't seen it, it's just a little small spot, but okay, the chick in the courtroom mentioned something about her having a baby, knowing that the other woman could not have children. So this is what I would consider gaslighting. You're trying to evoke a response from somebody in a way that seems very innocent, or it's passive aggressive. Okay. So this is when people do things to you that actually they basically build up this fire, build up this momentum, know that it's going to hurt you. And then when you react, they're like, oh, wait, I didn't even do anything to you. Why don't you calm down? What's your problem? This is another form of emotional manipulation, because when someone actually intentionally tries to cause you to respond in a negative way and then come back as if they didn't do anything to you, it is something that is sociopathic to me, because it's something that is, they're playing games with you to actually make you feel crazy. In a sense, they're literally trying to make you feel like, what? I didn't even say that. What is wrong with you? And it is insane, because to be honest, when you're dealing with somebody like this in an intimate romantic relationship, you start to believe it. You're like, wait, am I crazy? Because this is somebody who is with you. This is somebody who you're supposed to be with, be intimate with. This is supposed to be your lover, your friend. And this is somebody who is intentionally triggering you in such a way that they know you're going to have an emotional reaction or response. And then they're going to pull back and act like they never did it. Not only that, they're going to act like you're crazy for responding the way that you are responding. This to me, in my opinion, people who are gaslighting you, who are in your close quarters, you need to get them out of your space, because it will cause you so much mental anguish and distress that you won't know if you're coming or going. And to me, that is a hell of an effective tool for somebody who wants to hurt you to do, to make you actually question your own sanity and your own peace of mind. And they're actually the person who is provoking it. That is scary. Okay? Because basically that person is putting you in a position where they want you to react, and they're going to even tell other people that, look at her, she acting crazy. That ain't, ooh, you see how she acting? This is not cool. That is so dangerous. That could be so detrimental to your health, to your emotional being. And you know what? After a while, it will wear on you. And I'm sorry, but when you're with somebody long enough, you start believing some of that mess. You got to really pay attention to what the person is doing, how they're doing it, who they're performing in front of. Because to me, gaslighting is also something that somebody does to tell some other people, like, all I said was this and she just went off. What? Horrible. Not cool at all. That was not fun. So the other one is I call it team building when it comes to arguments. This is the person who will get in an argument with you, and after you guys have fallen out or had a confrontation or anything like that, they go to multiple people, like your mutual friends, circle, family, and they try to build their team. They're trying to build their argument, and they're basically trying to tell people and gain people to be affirming them in their side of the argument. Because now Now, I'm sure that everybody's listening like, well, I always tell my people, and they know he was wrong. But let's be honest. As an adult and having accountability in any kind of confrontation, you still have to acknowledge what you did wrong in an argument too. You still have to acknowledge your part in something. When I'm talking about team building is toxic when it comes to relationships and toxic behaviors, is that you're literally rallying people up against your partner. That's toxic because you're actually formulating a perception around this individual that is displeasing to others to make you feel better. That is toxic. That is very harmful, not only to the relationship, but to your partner and to also the perception of your partner from other people. You can't honestly go into a relationship, have arguments, have confrontation, and never have any part or doing in anything that happens. So when you do this, it's really a reflection on you, because not only do you do this to make this other person feel bad, but you stay in the relationship. That's not normal. That's toxic. Like, so if you're the person who feels like you need to tell all your friends and family about how messed up your partner is and how bad they did it, and they need to hear my side, they need to understand that he was like this, and this, and I ain't do nothing. I wasn't doing nothing. He was totally tripping. So I'm going to tell them how he did that. Come on. That doesn't do anything. And not only is it toxic for your relationship, but now you're bringing toxicity to your family and friends as well. So that means their disposition towards your partner, their disposition towards your relationship is going to be altered and changed and skewed based on you. Not anybody else. They're getting the information from you. And not only that, if they were getting both sides, then they would probably be able to help you and support you in a more healthy manner. But when you're doing this team building, you're only building your team, and it's making your partner an adversary. You can't be with anyone when they become an opponent. Nobody wants to be in a relationship in which they're battling the other person. In most relationships, people come together so two become one, not so you can go to war and be on different sides as opponents. So that's another toxic thing. Don't team build if you're in a relationship. And if you are doing, please understand that you are the toxicity in that relationship. That other person could be horrible. It could be abusive, mentally abusive, physically abusive. They could be doing some horrible things. But if you are rallying other people up and you are not trying to rally up to get up out that situation, you're just as toxic as the person you're dealing with. It doesn't help the situation just because you got a team full of people that says that person is messed up too. Sorry, it don't work like that. So I think we got quite a bit now. We got exes and extra baggage. We got obsessive behavior, lies, gaslighting, bringing people down a notch. See, that was a lot. Then this last one was team building. Okay. So we have a few more. And in this conversation, I want you guys to understand that even though we're talking about the concept of being toxic as an individual and toxic in a relationship, this is human nature. We could be toxic individuals. That's what it is. So this isn't anything to listen to the show and go, oh man, I can't believe I've been doing that. That's so messed up. No, it's life. You learn better, you do better. If you really want a healthy relationship, you have to examine you first. This can't always be about another person. And I tell people that all the time. The healthiest relationship you're going to have is the one that you have with yourself. And then that will spill over to the relationships you have with other people. Take the time to forgive yourself if you have been toxic, if you have treated a partner wrong, because in reality, you've been treating yourself wrong too. To be in a toxic relationship or to be in a toxic situation or be toxic yourself only cause yourself harm. If you got the toxicity within you, if you have the poison within your body, that's not allowing you to flourish and live life as expansively and joyously as you would if that toxicity was not there. So keep that in mind, that this is something to recognize these behaviors so that you can actually enjoy your loved ones a lot more than you have before. So I think that we are going to take a small break here. I'm going to let you guys process some of that information because it's heavy. It's heavy. And I want y'all to stay tuned. And we're going to finish up the rest of these toxic behaviors.
Hi, this is Karen Auld from Stanton, New Jersey, and I love listening to Elevations Radio.
Nowadays everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. Just a bunch of gibberish, yeah, forgive them for that, cause they forgot about me. Nowadays everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. Just a bunch of gibberish, yeah, forgive them for that, cause they forgot about me. Who told you that I ever really needed you? If we gon' do this, we might as well tell the truth. You needed more than I ever needed from you. Look at me stand up, put my hands up with my hands proud. Cause I got power in my hand. I got power in my feet. I got power all over me. Cause I march to the beat of my own drum. About to blow up like my name is Bubble Young. If I could ever do it all over again, I would. I'd be more loyal to myself, cause I know nobody could do it like me. Nobody could work hard for me. Nobody could see what I see. For me, for me, for me. Speaking to my people. Still. Cause I march to the beat of my own drum. Can't take it no more than way too long. Way too long. Way too long.
Hey, 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 and welcome back. You're listening to the Queen's Journey radio show, and I am your host, Sade Carlissa, the sexy magician and spiritual alchemist. And today we are talking about 10 characteristics that reflect or create toxic behavior in relationships. So in the first half, we talked about quite a few things, some extra baggage stuff, some obsessions, some lies, some gaslighting, some deflecting, and some team building. And there is this one that I definitely have to talk to you guys about. And it was funny, we were talking on the break, and it's one that's called love bombing. Oh, this was so good. So, and I'm way too familiar with that. Lord Jesus, 809 just showed up on my phone. Y'all know 809 is my birthday. I will be receiving gifts all the month of August. Okay, so all right. When it comes to love bombing, this is the individual, and this is going to be followed by hot cold because this is very similar, but this is the individual who will spaz out, kind of, lash out on you verbally, maybe physically, talk about you really bad, be very aggressive, angry, just something that is over the top with aggression, and then all of a sudden come back with all these compliments, but I love you. You know, you're the most amazing person in the world. And you know that there's nothing in life that I would rather have than but be with you. And you are so incredible. And I don't know what life would be like without you. And what would I do without you? And this is that and the third. So like, this is love bombing. This is when a person could treat you horribly. You know it. They done spazzed out, didn't cuss you out, didn't called you out your name. And then all of a sudden come back to you and say, but girl, you know, I love you. You know, you're so amazing. You know, you like the twinkle in my eye. You like the stars in the sky. You so beautiful. And it's actually meant to put you on this pedestal that is so high that you actually start to convince yourself no one honors you and no one loves you in this way outside of this person, except for they are actually strategically, emotionally manipulating you in such a way that you believe that you can't get love like this from anywhere else, so they can keep beating you up verbally and then all of a sudden telling you that they love you and you're okay. That's toxic. And it's horribly nasty emotional manipulation. It is nasty. That Oh, I am so familiar with that version of crazy. Do you hear me? A person who could cut you off, who could talk about everything about you. You can't do that. You're not capable of doing this. You're not capable of doing that. And be like, I don't know how I'm gonna live life without you. I don't know what I do. Stop it. That is toxic. That is trash and garbage. Do not allow someone to consistently mistreat you, abuse you, talk about you, bring you down, degrade you, and then all of a sudden tell you about how much they cherish you. Here's the thing. That shows a mental imbalance in that individual. That's not healthy. That situation cannot be beneficial to you. It's just a different form of poison. And it's something that is so intentional. This is not by happenstance. This is not a person. And I mean, unless they're bipolar, manic, and they're on meds, I mean, I respect it. Whatever. That's cool. But let's be honest. That's not comfortable to receive that type of treatment. They're actually manipulating you in such a way that you are starting to believe that that person cares about you more than anybody else ever could. That's false. Because a person who cares about you wouldn't do the first half, which is tear you down so bad that they had to build you back up. That's awful. Do you hear me? Awful. And if you are dealing with that, or if you're that person, shame on you. That's messed up. Stop acting crazy. If you love somebody, be consistent in the way that you love them. Love actually can be shown through actions. You do not have to sit up there and tell somebody that you love them as much as the world and the stars and the moon and the sun, but then also degrade them and tear them down and talk about how they're not worth anything. That can't go together. They can't coincide. It doesn't make sense. It's not cool. Toxic behavior. The other thing that is also a toxic behavior, I think we're on like 2 now. I think we went through a lot. I mean, there's so many. I just went to 10. I just wanted to do 10. But at 2, we're talking about isolating. Now, this is very popular for a lot of people, okay? This is when you get into a relationship and all of a sudden you stop seeing friends. You stop doing hobbies. You stop doing the things that you used to do. You stop enjoying the things you used to enjoy. This person got you so concerned about attending to their needs or making sure that they're checking on you and making sure that they're present everywhere that you are, that you stop being around people you used to be around. The relationships you used to have, now they're actually making you believe that relationships you had were not healthy for you. They're people that will tear you away from your family. They're people that will tear you away from your friends. They want to isolate you so it's only you and them. And then they might even be that type of person who's like, it's me and you against the world. Well, dang, the world was cool before you got here. You know what I'm saying? Don't have somebody put you in a situation in which you are actually ending and dissolving relationships because they want you to themselves. Anyone who has to isolate you is so insensitive and codependent and insecure about your relationship that they're actually requiring that you eliminate all the other important relationships in your life so that they become the prominent one. This is not healthy behavior. We should all have emotional, fulfilling, welcoming, loving relationships in our life. That means friendships. That means family. That means relationships in different communities, organizations, anything that you choose to do, whether it be your churches, whether it be, your youth groups, whether it be your community groups, whether it be your social clubs, no matter what that is. If a person feels the need to actually have you dismiss a relationship that you have in order for them to feel comfortable in your relationship with them, that is toxic. It's a poison. It is literally destroying things that were beneficial to you in your life. You never know when you're going to need other people. For people in business, people who are entrepreneurs, relationships are your key component to building business. You need relationships to network. You need relationships to grow. You need relationships to collaborate and build. So that's the same way in your personal life. Every person is not going to serve the same purpose. So you need different people in your life to grow from and heal from and talk to and expand with and learn with. These relationships are valuable. So if you have a partner coming into your life, they should help you expand in that way. They shouldn't take those things away from you. This person, if a person is coming into your life and they're meant to be there and they're meant to add abundance and joy and prosperity and wealth and warmth into your world, they're going to do it in such a way that you feel expansive in their presence. They're not going to do it in such a way where they're asking you not to talk to someone or they're making you nervous about when they're texting dating someone, or who they're talking to, or how they're talking to them, or what type of time they spend away from you, or how long it goes before you respond to a text, or when's the last time you called. That is not okay. And if you're that person that is checking for someone in that way, you need to sit down and have a one-on-one with self. What is it about your life that was missing so much that this person became a priority and a requirement for you to know about their doings and who they're interacting with and how they're interacting for you to be comfortable in your day-to-day experience? That's asinine. So if this is you, that's toxic. Get it together. It ain't cool, sis. Really pay attention to how it is that you're doing the people you care about. They shouldn't have to be taken away from other people that they care about or have healthy relationships with. The other one is hot and cold. I think we got to number one. So hot and cold, okay? Now, this is really, to me, this is a really good skill that I feel men use. Where this person can all of a sudden be all about you, very engaged, very enthusiastic, all about the relationship. It's me and you. Let's go do this. Let's do that. Very romantic, all about the dating, all that kind of good stuff. And then all of a sudden, nothing. Or they're very distant. Or they're dismissive. And it's literally hot and cold. It's where 1 second they want to be passionate. They're all about you. It's all about the romance. It's me and you. They are selling the dreams. They're doing all of that. Cute text messages, may send something to the job, then all of a sudden you don't hear from them. And this is something different than ghosting. This is not ghosting. This is literally someone that is showing active attention on to you, towards you, being engaged with you, and then all of a sudden just disengaging. Where all of a sudden you're questioning, well, what happened? Well, what did I do? And is something wrong? And the moment, this is how you know it's a hot and cold experience. The moment you do something that is pleasing to that individual, they come back with open arms. This is the manipulation of a child. Okay? So a child, if you guys follow my Instagram, you see how my children behave. So a child, if they're angry because they did not get their way, they're very cold. It's like the Sweet and Sour Patch Kids. You know what I'm saying? They're very mean, and they can be like, I want that and I want this. Well, that's typically what hot and cold in relationships are. So when this person is getting their way, when you're performing the way that they want you to perform, when you act the way that they want you to act, when you give them the things that they want you to give them, they're all about you. But the moment that you do not do those things, they go distant, dismissive. They're not engaging. They're not talking the same. They're not responding to you the same. And then when you present yourself in a way that is presentable to them, then like, oh, hey, oh, yeah, I love you. That's why you the one. You the best, baby. You the best. That's a child playing games with you as if you're a parent. And it's so smart because if you continue to respond like that, they'll know that behavior actually works. You want the closeness, and technically it does work pretty well because this is someone you care for, you like. When it's good, it's great. So you actually want to keep that great momentum going. So the moment that they go cold and they go distant, you perform. Ta-da! Toxic. Because after a while, it only leads to resentment. Because you will realize that this person is using you and manipulating you for you to understand what it is that they're looking to gain from you by having this cold behavior until you perform accordingly. Whew. That is a lot. So I hope that this was helpful, and I'm going to talk about some actual emotional things that go into this. So, since I always talk about things from a spiritual perspective, and these things also come into psychological things, but I have to talk to you from a spiritual perspective, that you can also be conscious and aware of toxic behavior based on how you're feeling. So I started the show by saying I definitely consider myself divorcing and detoxing, because in my relationship, it wasn't just one toxic party. We were toxic together. Matter of fact, the union itself became a toxicity in itself. And when recognizing that, it was because there were deeply rooted issues and emotional problems that were not addressed within each individual. So because I'm not going to speak on a person who can't speak for themselves, I'm only going to speak for me. So when it came to me, I recognized and started my spiritual journey from actually identifying, I had a therapist, counselor, whatever, identify that I was toxic, but that's okay. We'll talk about that in a second. I mean, it's the truth. So what happened was I started my spiritual journey in 2014 because I did realize that I had a certain type of behavior that was not healthy for myself, was not healthy for my relationship. And it was the first time I actually sat and said, you know what, I don't want to be this person. I was someone who argued in relationships just to prove a point, not argue for resolution. I was someone who could be very cutting down to size, very condescending, very belittling. And anybody who's had an argument with me will tell you the same. And this was a situation where I realized that I wasn't reacting out of the truth of my being or who I wanted to be or who I felt like I was destined to be. I was responding out of the hurt, the pain, the anger, and the resentment that I had allowed to fester within me for so long. And that also goes to say, when I talked at the beginning of the show, when I said that you can have a lot of toxic relationships when you have a lot of unhealed wounds. There was a lot of things that I did as far as choosing the relationship that I was in where I bypassed hurt that I never healed from. I just brushed it under the rug. And the issue with compartmentalizing things and, almost telling yourself like, oh no, I'm cool, I'll be fine, I'm good, is the fact that it still shows up. You can't get away with it. You get what I'm saying? It's kind of like, I always say it's like putting some, old food away in the trash and shutting the door, but you can still smell it. You still have that lingering that has not been addressed because it wasn't never put in a dumpster. It was just put away so that you couldn't see it. It was just put away so that you didn't have it in front of your face, but it was still something that you needed to deal with emotionally, mentally. In some cases, that stuff shows up in you physically. Why do you think so many women have cervical issues? Why do you think so many women have breast cancers? These are heart issues, and they're not heart talking about the actual organ, but they're issues of the heart, of imbalance, being brokenhearted, that shows up within the body. Why do you think so many black women are diagnosed with lupus and rheumatoid arthritis, things that they cannot actually physically test for? They actually identify and diagnose these things as a process of elimination because there's not enough symptoms to actually identify where it's coming from. These are things that manifest within our body when we do not address the resentment, the hurt, the anger, the betrayal, the abandonment that we actually experience within our lives. When we are so busy trying to be strong on a regular basis that we don't address the pain. The pain has to be addressed. Allow yourself to heal so that you can get into a comfortable, loving, secure, and harmonious space. You deserve it, baby. You deserve it. So you got to understand that I had to come to the place where not only did I recognize that I was toxic in my behavior, but I also had to honor the fact that it was me that needed to make the changes. It was me that needed to acknowledge that I needed healing, and that it was me that needed to actually show up for me in my relationship in the right way. And it's hard to figure out how to love someone properly when we don't take the time to love ourselves first. A lot of my imbalance came from the fact that I felt as though as long as I love that other person the right way, then I would get the reciprocity I needed in return. But that reciprocity did not heal the wounds of the deceit, of the betrayal. It did not make the anger go away. It did not take away the feelings of unworthiness and all of that good stuff. Like, these were things that I had to work on. I had to build up my self-esteem again. I had to build up my self-worth. The things that I mentioned before about tearing people down or actually doing that down a peg. That's something that people do when they're very insecure about who they are. Never should you in any kind of relationship or in an argument or a debate have to bring someone down to size. Because you know what? The moment that you do that, you have to examine the fact that you're the one who's on the lower end. And that may be really tough. That may be tough and it may be complicated. So if you are dealing with some of these habits, some of these characteristics where you are potentially the toxic party in the relationship, take time to heal. Even if you don't know the root of the situation, take time to seek counseling, take time to seek spiritual guidance, take time to actually, get Reiki, go somewhere where you can be at peace with you, where you can bring you back into balance. Talk to someone. Go to a professional. There are too many resources out here for you to continue to embody and harbor negative, toxic emotions that need to be released from you. You do not need to hold on to those things. And the only way to really identify it and let it go is when you actually acknowledge that you're holding on to it in the first place. It's hard to heal things where we claim that they don't exist. And that's not uncommon. A lot of us, even from childhood, will black certain things out if they caused us too much trauma, too much extreme trauma, if it causes too much depression, if it causes too much pain, if it causes too much confusion or chaos within our spirit, we'll completely dismiss it. And believe me, for good reason, I understand. But it always comes back up. And for a lot of people, you guys know I will talk about astrology and how the cosmos play into a lot of these energetic things. And during this very time period right now, we're wrapping up a major cycle. So a lot of you have probably actually encountered a lot of the things that I'm talking about right now because they were revisits from past relationships, past situations, past hurts. And I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of the toxicity starts at home. They don't always start in your romantic relationships. A lot of the things that we saw between mom and dad, or the things that we saw between mom and her boyfriend, or dad and whatever women he was dealing with, or not having dad there at all, or how mom treated us, or how dad treated us. These toxic relationships are rooted from childhood in many cases. And we just act them out accordingly as adults. We don't even pay attention to what we internalize in those spaces. But let me tell you something. Here, now, and today, you can make the decision to heal at any time. But the choice is yours. As always, you got to choose your own victory. Make the decision to not be the person you don't want to experience being next to. If you feel like you're in a relationship that is causing you to feel like it's toxic, like it's abusive, like it's emotionally manipulating, make sure you make the decision to choose you and act accordingly. Make sure that it's not you that is the toxicity in that space. Take time to heal. Take time to detox. You need it. And tonight, that is our show. I love you guys. Continue to tune in. Make sure you check us out every Sunday, 7:30 p.m., elevationsradio.com. I'm your girl, Sade Carlissa, and I'm out.
I can't believe that she called me on the phone asking for you. After all the time you said that you were